Peace, guys. My name is Kay and I am a messenger of the universe. So today's video is going to be a little bit different because I'm combining the two types of videos that I do into one video, and I just want to see how this is going to work out in the end. So basically what I'm doing today is I'm going to be talking to you about how to release expectations, doubts, and fears. This is basically your guide to learning to let go and trust the universe. Today I'm accompanied by 4 decks, and this is my Moonology deck, Angel's Meditation, White Sage Tarot, and a homemade deck that I made myself. And I'm going to be using these cards to kind of help me get my point across, as well as explaining, just talking to you basically. Whenever you come across this video, I just want you to know that this is when it's meant for you. Even if it's like 2 years from now, this video is meant for you when you see it. If there's not a doubt in your mind that you feel like you should watch this, or you're thinking about doubting yourself, or you just were doubting yourself, what the case may be, this is when it is meant for you. It was sent to you because nothing is a coincidence. So I just wanted to let you guys know before I get started. So first, I'm going to be talking about positive thinking versus wishful thinking. So this is the first thing that you should take into account. Sorry if you can hear me shuffling in the background. So this is the first thing that you should take into account when you are doing positive thinking and wishful thinking. The difference between positive thinking and wishful thinking is basically, if you're thinking wishfully, you are basically giving the process to the universe instead of giving that task to yourself. And when you're thinking positively, you are basically working in the process instead of focusing on the end result. Hopefully you can see these cards. I'm going to put them up more, sorry. The example I'm going to be using is if you are taking a test and you want to get an A on this test. Let's say it's a big test, midterm, whatever the case may be. So if you're going to take a test and you want to think positively, you would say things such as, I'm going to try my best to get an A on this test. I'm going to work hard and do the best that I can on this test in order to receive the grade that I want, which is an A. If you're thinking wishfully, you would say, I'm going to get an A on this test no matter what. I will get an A on this test. I will do this, like I will get an A on this test, I will pass this class. Like that is wishful thinking. And when you're wishfully thinking, you're basically, it's like you're living in the future. And if you're not living in the future, then you're not in the present moment. Sorry. All right. I'm kind of pulling these out as they fall and as they like kind of come out and pop out to me, and I'm like reading them as I speak, if that makes sense to you guys. But when you're positively thinking, that's when you're living in the present moment and you are respecting the process as well as remaining in the present moment at the same time. And I'll tell you why remaining in the present moment is very important, because if you're not present, then you're living in the past or the future, and the past and the future don't exist. The only thing that exists in this moment is the present, nothing else. The future doesn't exist, but we spend so much time in either the past or the future. And when you are thinking positively, you are remaining in the present moment because you're saying, I am going to work hard on this test. I am going to do this. It is something that you're doing. You're respecting the process instead of focusing on the end result. Because wishful thinking is also, it is positive in nature. I'll give it that. But the difference between here is that if you're wishfully thinking, you want things to you're giving the process to karma or giving the process to God or the universe instead of giving it to yourself, because you're the one that's working towards getting to the end result. And it's very important that you release this thinking pattern, because I know that a lot of people, when they're doing affirmations or they're trying to manifest things into their life, these are the kind of things that they kind of forget or they don't keep it in mind. And also this type of thinking, positive thinking versus wishful thinking, is basically you are not, what's the word? Sorry, I'm trying to think of the word here. Universe, you're trying to help me figure out what I'm trying to say. All right. Ooh. Okay, so yeah, like when you are positively thinking, you are basically, you're releasing your expectations of things. You're, you're focusing more on just doing the best that you can in order to receive an A, instead of saying, well, I'm just going to get an A, regardless of if I try hard or not. And I'm not saying that you do have to try hard, because I don't believe that hard work equals success necessarily, but That's honestly for another video. But basically, you are releasing your expectations, and as well in the process, while you're retraining your subconscious mind to think positively instead of wishfully. Because when you don't end up, let's say like you do that and you don't end up getting an A, like you get a B or something, then you would say, you know what, at least I still tried my best and the process was fun to, you know, I learned something new, I learned whatever. And, you know, and if it wasn't your time to get an A, then, you know, maybe it just wasn't your time to have an A. Maybe you got a B for a reason. I mean, you did technically, because I believe that everything happens for a reason. But you can actually use that honestly to anything, like maybe like a sports game that you're gonna watch. You're like, or you're on the team, a sports team. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna try my hardest this game. I'm going to win this game. Because I'm going to try my best and I'm going to do my hardest to make sure that our team is supported. I'm going to work on being the best team member to my team during this game. And you know, you're focusing on that while you're playing the game, instead of I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win while you're playing, because you're kind of like, or I'm sorry, I will win, because I mean, wishful thinking, I'm not saying that it's not going to yield results, but I feel like positive thinking yields more results than wishful thinking. So next I'm going to be going over fear, because I know that fear is a common emotion that we all go through. And honestly, fear is like, when I think of fear, I just think of, you know, like being too worried about the future. And again, that's me living in the future instead of the present. Like, what if this happens? What if something's dangerous? What if this is dangerous? What if this is dangerous? And again, that's not living in the present moment, because when you're living in the present moment, you can live happily, if that makes sense, basically, if you're not focused on what could be instead of what is. So if you are afraid, or in a situation where you feel afraid or you feel fear, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, are you being a pushover out of your fear? And what I mean by that is, I've actually been a culprit of this, I guess you could say, because sometimes when you're really scared and then you just kind of, you don't really know how to react, so you kind of just do something in order to like feel like you're doing something to stop the situation, or to like acknowledge the situation or acknowledge the fear. So an example I'll give you is basically, if your friend is driving and you're afraid that they're going to kill you and everyone else in the car for whatever reason, hopefully not, but maybe you have car anxiety, because I used to have really bad car anxiety. But basically, if you, hold on, these 2 fell, I'm gonna put these down. If you were to die today, would you be happy with the memory of you that is left behind? Universal Spirit, your universe is coming through today. Clear your mind and open your heart. Archangel Raphael, no one is obligated to believe in you but you. Archangel Uriel. Okay, so these 2 are the ones that's popping out for me for this scenario. So basically, your friend's in a car, she's driving, you know, she's following the law, whatever, and let's say like you get really scared. You're like, bro, like what if we crash? What if, like, she's going too fast, she's going too slow, she's doing this, she's doing that. And then you kind of like blurt out, you're like, stop driving, stop the car. Then you're like distracting her, and then you're probably in a situation where you're more likely to crash or get hurt because you're distracting the driver. But in that situation, you kind of let your fear overwhelm you. You let your fear tell you like, oh, something bad's gonna happen, like you gotta say something. Be the person you expect others to be to you. Okay, so if your friend's really afraid, would you want her to yell at you while she's driving? Like, that's what I mean by being a pushover, because you can be a pushover out of fear, and it's something that you should acknowledge and try to change, and or at least acknowledge and learn to clear your mind and open your heart. Like, clear your mind when you see those fears popping up. Don't give them the fuel that they want or the fuel that they need. Basically, you like, it's like you're on a tree branch, and then you get one thought of fear, and then you jump from one thought of fear to the next, instead of just remaining present and just acknowledging the fear and just letting it be. Because it's going to be there, because we are humans and we have human emotions, and we're learning to control those emotions so that they don't control us. And the second question I want you to ask is, what do you gain from speaking out of fear? So again, you're in the situation, your friend's driving, you're in a car, and you're super scared, and you're just like, I'm scared. What do you gain from that? genuine. Like, I mean, like, maybe if you're in a situation where she's like, okay, then we'll stop driving, we'll pull over, whatever. I mean, that's a good friend. But in a situation, let's say she has to keep driving for whatever reason, or she is driving and you're just saying, I'm scared on repeat, all you're doing is basically making that your reality even more. And then you're going to be in, because it goes beyond just that one situation. Any other situation that happens and you feel afraid, you're going to like just be like, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. And it's like you can't even control yourself from saying that you're scared, because you're so used to saying that you're scared when you are scared. But what do you gain from that besides, you know, retraining your subconscious mind to like literally believe that you are scared all the time? But really, like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't speak up for yourself, but just this situation specifically where it's like an irrational, I would say that this is more of like an irrational way of being afraid. If, you know, your friend's just driving perfectly fine and you guys are okay, like, what do you gain from that situation? Basically, what do you gain from assuming that something bad will happen besides, you know, being afraid that it will happen, and then being afraid every other time that you're in that type of situation, you're like afraid that something bad will happen? Next, I'm going to be touching on releasing doubts by rewiring your subconscious mind. And I kind of touched upon this in one of my other videos about how to manifest things. I'm pretty sure it was that video. It was one of those videos, but I basically was saying that if you're doubting something, then you're feeling inadequate enough to have it. You're like, wow, like, do I deserve this? Is this like something that's going to happen? What if it doesn't happen? You know, and then you also get afraid. So that kind of what goes back into fear. But basically, this is kind of like this questions. I'm going to give you some more questions to ask yourself in these types of situations where you notice that you're doubting yourself. And I want you to ask, why don't you feel good enough? What did you do to make yourself not feel good enough to get your blessings or to receive what it is that you want to receive? Like, what made you not feel good enough? And when you ask yourself that, you might have a flashback to, like, I don't know, Vietnam or something, and you're kind of like, holy crap, I remember when I was a kid, something happened and it made me doubt myself, and then now that's why I continuously doubt myself over and over again. And then, you know, that's kind of like how shadow work goes. Like, you're like going back, working through your fears in order to figure out the root of the problem so that you can, you know, stop it there. And I want you to tell yourself that you are worthy of all of the blessings coming into your life. You are worthy of them all, okay? You are very, very worthy. Even if you don't believe it, just keep telling yourself that. Wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, I'm worthy of everything I'm blessed with and everything I will be blessed with. And eventually you are going to believe it. And that's just affirmations. So just wake up, put a reminder so every morning you can have affirmations that say, look, angel of obedience. They're like, pay attention to this. So they're saying like, yeah, angel of joy. I'm sorry, these cards are like, they be speaking the truth. Angel of honesty, be honest with yourself. Like, are you just being too hard on yourself? The angel of creativity. Yeah, some of you might want to like draw out how you feel or sing or something to like let that emotion go, or just to show yourself like, you know what? Look at what I have done. Look at what I have created. Look what I have done. Like, I still deserve this. And, you know, with the affirmations, I'm thinking of the angel of obedience here. And it's basically saying that if you like just give yourself some affirmations to say every day, give yourself a reminder every morning and just have a list of affirmations that you'll tell yourself. And then when you have those affirmations like subconsciously wired in and you know that you believe them, then you can change it out with new affirmations. I did that for like a couple of months last year, and it really worked for me. Like, I would change out my affirmations when I felt like they weren't like resonating, but it was just like I believed them. Like, if I told myself I'm pretty every day, then I believed it. Then I would change it out with a different affirmation because I'm like, okay, now I believe I'm pretty, so I'm going to change it to another one. So, and also what you should do is practice gratitude for the things that you already have and receive, because we receive many things on a daily basis. We just don't acknowledge it all because we expect things to happen in big ways, like it has to happen miraculously or it has to happen fast or quick or something. But just the little things are important too. Like, you know, if you woke up this morning, that's something to be grateful for. If you had something to eat, that's something to be grateful for. If you ended up getting to spend time alone because whatever reason, then that's something to be grateful for. Like, there's a blessing in everything that you do in your daily life. It's just the things that we overlook because we have them so often, or we just overlook the things that we do have because we're just like, we overlook the things that we do have because we're focused so much on the trivial things or the big things, the bigger picture. We don't see like this little details that make up our reality that we are definitely blessed with. Like, I'm blessed to have a phone, you know, I am blessed to have tarot cards, and I'm even blessed to have index cards, and, you know, to be able to go to school. Like, those are just the small stuff that are blessings. Even the stuff that you think aren't blessings, they're in your life for a reason. See, I cannot shuffle on camera for some reason. Like, the cards be like, So next is do reflections. Okay, reflections are also very important because you kind of lose track of everything that you do have when you don't reflect every once in a while. And I would say if you really want like writing or you're into it, then do monthly reflections. And then, or if you just like don't want to do that at all, then do a yearly reflection. I mean, you can do weekly, daily, like anything, just something to look back at so you can see the progress that you've made. Like, you can look back at a month from now and see that you can look back at a month from now. You can look back at a month from now and see that, like, you know what, at the beginning of this month, I didn't have as much money as I did now, you know? Or this beginning of this month, I was really upset, but now I'm not upset. I'm happy. Like, you know, just, it's a way to look back and realize how far you've come. And then you'll realize, like, you are very, very blessed, and you are very lucky, and you are very deserving of everything because you have worked hard for it. You have done the work for it. You deserve it, okay? And appreciate yourself. Appreciate your greatness. Don't let you be the way of you. Like, don't let yourself hold you back. Don't be afraid to, like, make that new start sometimes. Don't resist change, okay? These cards are coming out like crazy. The Fool in reverse, Death in reverse, the Tower. Oh my gosh, these are so intense. The Hermit. Wow. This is really interesting. Okay, I'm gonna read that after I finish talking because this is kind of interesting. I feel like we all need to hear this message, but basically what I was saying is appreciate yourself and your greatness. You know, look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm awesome. Like, we are multi-dimensional beings living temporary human experiences. We are more than just being humans. Like, we are more than anything. Like, we are made up of everything on this earth. We are made up of everything in the galaxies. Like, that is literally us in a human body. Like, what the heck? That's insane to think about. Like, all of us are like, that's just insane to think about, okay? And I just saw the sun, so they're like, yeah, you should be happy about that because we are all like, it's just crazy. So a quote that I'm going to read out before I do this is a quote that said by Albert Hubbard. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I actually got this quote this morning and I was like, I needed to hear this. But it said, work to become, not to acquire. If you're working to acquire, you're not working to become. I mean, the actual quote is just work to become, not to acquire, but I just added that little sentence at the end because I'm extra. But when I was thinking about that quote, I was like, wow, that really does make sense. Like, when you're working, work to become even better than you were. Like, give yourself a reason to work for something. And if you give yourself a really good reason, like, not because, oh, I want to get money, I want to get famous, I want to do this or do, work to become one, become human, like, not human, become one with everything else around you. Like, for example, I make these videos to inspire people, to uplift the consciousness of the world, to, you know, hopefully someone is watching this and they're like, oh my gosh, I really needed to hear this. That's why I'm doing this, and I'm enjoying myself as I do it. I'm not doing it because, you know, I want to get all the money in the world. I mean, that would be fine if it came along with it, but still, like, do work to become, not to acquire, and have fun while you're doing it. Because if you're not having fun, then you're not working at the right place, or you're not working from the right space or the right heart space. So work to become, not to acquire. And I promise you, when you work to become, you will be very extremely successful every single time. So going back to these tarot cards, I'm not sure if I think I'm gonna get some clarification for this. Okay, so I feel like this could be like, this is probably some collective energy that's coming in here because these cards are pretty intense. So you got the Fool in reverse. Okay, that was like the best shuffle I've done on the camera, but So the Fool in reverse is about being afraid of new beginnings, afraid to like take that leap of faith. Oh my gosh, look at the star. Listen, the star in reverse, this just reminds me of, it's like you have this wish, but you're doubting it. Like, why are you doubting it? Go back to my positive thinking versus wishful thinking and you'll see the truth. Okay, here. Death in reverse, resisting change. And why are you resisting change? This Two of Wands here. Maybe you feel like, you're not going to be able to hold yourself together if you don't make this change, or maybe there's a change that is going to happen soon. The Tower, wow, clarified by the Five. There's just something like, there's just this energy of having to let go of something, and I feel like whoever's watching this, you're going to know what it is, and then whatever you're thinking about right now, that's what you need to let go of. Because this fives are about like letting go of things, change, and then we have the Tower to clarify it, and that's also about change. Like big changes are happening, and I feel like these changes are like really good changes, but it's like there's kind of like this resistance here to these changes, because you feel like if I do this, then I'm not gonna grow, I'm not gonna keep it together, I'm going to, like, I don't know. That's like the energy I'm getting from here. In the Hermit, there, it's like, you know, take some time for yourself, okay? Really take some time for yourself. And then the Eight of Cups in reverse, you probably feel like if you make this change, you're gonna like explode emotionally, you're gonna overload, but it's actually the complete opposite. This is going to help you start fresh with your emotions. This is going to help you, give you a new start, and you're eventually become the Queen of Cups, someone that's super compassionate. Like I'm also thinking of the Empress, like someone that's like on their own. And I also saw the King of Wands. So here, I think it fell actually, yeah. So the King of Wands, yeah, someone that stands in their power, knows who they are, and does not let anyone tell them otherwise. And we have a King and a Queen. Like this is really strong energy coming from here. So whoever needed to hear that, I hope that helped you. Okay, let me know what you guys thought about this. Something new, I guess. So, and remember, my name is Kay, and I am your reader. And remember, we're learning to let go and let flow. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and thank you for joining my family if you do decide to join.